Okay, so this is Todd Atkins, and we're going to do a UFC recap of the latest UFC show, which was 269, right? Yeah, I think it
59.
was. Okay, so I'm
59.
going to let all you guys introduce yourselves, starting with Shane.
Oh, Shane Garrett. I don't know. I've been following UFC since UFC 3. I got a little jiu-jitsu experience. I've fought a couple times. That's about it.
Okay, and Adam.
I'm Adam Guerra. Nice to meet you guys. Shane, Todd. I have a little bit of knowledge of this, but it's always great to meet some new people to learn more, guys. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, mention your gym, Adam.
Guerra's House of Warriors, located a little south of Houston, Texas.
Yeah, I think Jesse might be moving to Texas, I heard. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not.
Yeah, I'm definitely telling the truth.
The taxes aren't too bad here, Jesse. Not like Kelly.
Yeah, we are definitely moving. We're either going to Texas or Florida.
Okay,
Texas.
and
Texas is better.
Raphael, introduce yourself.
Hey, fellas, Rafael Santana. Been wrestling since I was 13. I have a couple of fights. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, retired U.S. Navy. I've been following UFC since I met Todd in Japan way back when.
And you wrestled at Lawson Junior College, right?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. And Jesse on fire.
Yeah, what's up, guys? This is Jesse. I have a little bit of experience kicking things really hard, and then recently I found out that I have no skills doing jiu-jitsu. I put off jiu-jitsu my entire life because I was like, I'm pretty good, standing up. This looks like a big mountain to climb, and I found out how big of a mountain to climb it is when like 13-year-olds are wrapping me in fucking pretzels at Cesar Grace's gym. But
Your sound's a little messed up, I think.
I've been watching
know.
UFC since. Is it? Oh,
Just a little.
hang on. I can make it better. Hang on.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's good. So let's jump into it because it's only going to give us like 45 minutes. Maybe we'll just discuss like the 3 title fights. So, like the first one was pretty controversial, Jan and Aljamain Sterling. Yeah. So why don't you guys jump into it, and we can start with Raphael because I know he was pretty opinionated on this one.
Yeah, we see this all the time in wrestling. Guys are getting smoked. They don't have that, and then intestinal fortitude. They don't have what it takes, and they get an excuse to go ahead and take a dive. You see it all the time, and that was like, to me, it was a textbook Oscar on how to not continue and get the W by disqualification. I mean, no doubt it was a hard knee. I've been kneed in the head, more than I like to remember. Well, I can't remember, right? But if he was truly hurt, he wouldn't be sitting there up there talking, and you'd be carrying a stretcher. Like he could have finished it out, or corner should have thrown the towel. Like, he don't want to win this way. Guy's not good. Let's throw a towel in. I think very dishonorable in my opinion. Just my opinion, gents. Pretty hard knee, but he had enough to finish up. I mean, granted, and the way he was fighting and stuff like that. I mean, hey, that's a bunch of time. This is how I view it.
Todd, can I follow Raphael, because I'm going to be even just as opinionated or even more?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Man, I haven't brought out the bad guy in a while, but it's time. All right, motherfucker. Do you guys remember Igor Vovchanson?
Yeah, I remember Igor.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so my old teammate, Mark Holman, need the fuck out of him. You didn't see Igor quit. Here's the problem with today's rules. They baby these fighters today. They took away too much. And I agree with what Raphael says. He's 100% spot on. I mean, shit, look at Enson Inoue. We've talked about him before, Todd. these guys have the mentality, you better kill me when I fight. I'm not going to tell you I was the best fighter in the world either, but you know what? If I got my ass handed to me, I was going to make sure that I gave everything I had, and it was somebody's fault why shit went wrong in my life. These guys today, you know, they come from whatever sport they come from. You know, yeah, they know how to fight, but they don't have that. They lack that mentality. Ever since rules changed, you're going to have a lot more stuff like that. Look at Diego Sanchez. Remember that? What was it, 2 fights ago? He got a illegal knee, and he decided, nah, I'm going to take the.
Yeah, that was against Michael, against Piera or whatever.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of like, part of me stuck in the old days, and that's why I kind of like the older fights were better. I mean, you had a lot more to work with, and you know, I'm not going to make fun of him, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think he would have done so well back in the past. Now with some of these murderers he had back then, you know, no weight classes, none of that. You know, I mean, I know you got to change with time, evolve. You know, there's kids watching, but I don't think that knee put him out that bad. I don't think Peter Yan could knee as hard as Mark Coleman from a north-south position, much less from right there. You know?
What do you say, Shane?
Do any of us think that Algerman was as hurt as he was putting off?
Jesse's going to defend him a little, and I'll even defend him
Okay.
a little. I think
no,
he
I'm
got
gonna,
hit.
I'm gonna staunchly
It was a
defend
hard
him.
ass knee.
Yeah, I think he got hit and he was hurt. I agree with it. I think his antics are what I had a problem with. I think he had already
agree.
stopped fighting. That's my
Yeah.
only issue.
Well, he knew he was on the.
Yeah.
It was a downward slide, man. Jan had him figured out, and I mean, he couldn't out wrestle him. All he was trying to push the pace and doing a lot of flashy stuff, but I don't feel he was at any point ever in control of that fight, no matter how they want to talk about it. I didn't think he was in control. I thought Jan was just, you know, fighting like he fights and putting the pressure on him, and he broke him. He threw a unfortunate knee, and he paid the price. I hadn't reffed in a long time, so I didn't realize you would actually get the title off that. I was like, God, I think the rules should be changed maybe to boxing. Like, let's go to the scorecards. It was an intentional knee, but accidents happen in a fight, y'all. I don't know.
I don't think it was an accident. I think
don't
Jan
think
was
it was
tired of
either.
what Sterling was doing. And, you know, it's kind of like Mirko Krokop and Takada, you know? Takada was falling over every time Mirko got close to him.
Yeah.
And Mirko
but-
couldn't finish him, even though he was vastly superior. He couldn't finish him. And I think Jan was getting a little frustrated with the stuff Sterling was doing. And he just drilled him in the face for it. I think he did it on purpose.
He did. He need the shit out of him, man.
Jesse, we got to get you on here. Jesse is like
Yeah.
a major opinion guy. So, Jesse, we
Yeah.
got to let you wrap this up a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, here's exactly how I see it. And I actually spoke to Eric Nixick, to Aljamain's coach, literally, and an hour after it happened. And here's how I look at it. Like, it's aside from just the fact that the rules are different, like, it's a different fucking universe from back then. Like, the guy who comes into the next, so let's say they no contest it, right? So they no contest it. Jan keeps the belt. They come into the next fight with the same circumstances they go in on this fight. Okay, well, so what that means is that Jan gets $2.
Oh man, this is good stuff we're missing.
Yeah, your
Aljamain
sound's
Sterling
messing up.
comes
I
in
got to
with the
get your
belt.
sound good.
Aljamain Sterling makes $2 million.
Oh,
He's-
we're missing good.
Jesse, your
content.
sound is killing us.
Jesse,
What?
you're in
Fuck.
California. Move.
You guys still can't hear me?
Yeah, we got
There
you now.
you
We got
go.
you now. Continue.
Okay, I think I must have had my finger on the microphone or something. Anyway, what I was saying is, so let's say they no contest it, right? That means that they're gonna fight the fight again. Jan is still gonna have the belt, which means Jan is gonna get $2.50 per pay-per-view. He's gonna make $2 million, and Aljamain's not. Okay, he takes a fucking knee to the face.
Yeah, your sound's too messed up, Jesse.
little knee to the face. All right. Fuck you.
Jesse.
Yeah,
what
he's
you're
exiting.
saying-
So we'll just continue.
I'm catching some good stuff, but we got to get rid of the Charlie Brown.
Yeah, if he comes back, we'll bring him back on. So
All right.
Boost Mobile,
Yeah.
baby. I'll say this though. I believe honestly 100% now that in this matchup that Aljo's damaged goods because Jan broke him with one illegal strike and he gave up all thought of fighting any further. If that wouldn't have been illegal, I mean, you would have had to fight through it. He wouldn't have been having time to, roll around all the mat and all that stuff. I think he was overselling it. And I think that in the next fight, it's going to be a lot easier for Jan to take him out.
Unless he greases.
Well, I mean, Jan doesn't have to grapple him. He just did because Aljo was trying to initiate it, and he out-grappled him.
But I mean, all you guys as competitors.
If Phil Nurse decides to start rubbing his shoulders and stuff, he is from New York, right?
Right.
No, I mean, all you guys are competitors, right? And as someone you see someone in there who's not trying to win anymore, they're trying
That's
to get to
hard.
the end. I think that frustrates people more than anything. The other
It does.
competitor. Don't you all agree?
Absolutely.
I don't think I ever fought anybody that I thought was trying to make it to the end. So I guess I never experienced that frustration.
Like Raphael, what do you think?
I mean, the guy was pulling all this flashy nonsense at the end. He was doing the spinning back bullshit. I mean, that would probably be enough. He's like, I mean, he's trying to like find something out. He was obviously losing. The whole thing. I saw the whole thing about him like falling down and trying to grapple a little bit. I mean, that gets a little pissy after a while. It's like, hey man, let's just continue the ass beating as it is. I get it. I don't know, man. He was, I mean, good on him for trying. I mean, I like his feeble attempts at this fancy, flashy stuff. But yeah, that does get irritating. I mean, I've had guys wrestling do the same thing, trying this last minute flashy stuff, and I get, it becomes unorthodox to catch an elbow or something. That I agree with Tosh. Probably played a role into him getting knee in the face, taking one to the dome. I'm not as. I think it should have been no contest, or they could do something where they paid this guy off and took this illegal knee, but give him the belt up. Come on, man. And going back to the old school train of thought, like, yeah, fighter safety. I get it, but like these guys, these fighters. I mean, at least I'm sorry, I haven't been following too much lately, but this kid in particular, right? He doesn't have that. He doesn't belong out there, man. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that. That drive, like Ensign's a good one. I tried Ensign in Guam, and I mean that what his thought process spread to those guys at the gym. These guys were like, "Yo, just break my arm." Like, hey man, this is training right here, bro. I'm not gonna break your arm. A lot of guys, they don't have. They just don't have it, man. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's in the UFC much longer. To be honest with you, what's gonna happen is they'll do a rematch. He'll give it like a couple weeks to a month, and he'll start running his fucking mouth. And he'll go out there and get fucking dealt with, and that's gonna be it.
So Jesse just texted me, said reports are that Aljamain Sterling's are asking Dana to book him against Cejudo, and he's saying if that's true, that's kind of a like a bitch move to be doing that.
He's
Yeah.
afraid of the
well,
Russians.
because he's trying to get a payday. Is all.
Yeah, I mean, Dana said there. I thought he said something interesting in the press conference. He said two things. One, they're going to rematch them right away, which means he's not fighting anybody else, nor can he milk having the title. And two, he said Sterling went to the hospital and there was absolutely nothing wrong with him, which I thought was interesting because he usually doesn't comment about those things. He didn't come out and say he didn't like what happened, but he made it a point to say those two things.
Hey, if he says it, he usually means it. So hopefully, I mean, they definitely need the rematch, but Jan just has to be prepared for those antics. It's just part of fighting somebody that's unorthodox. I think going back to what Raphael was hitting on, it's a difference between you have a fighter and an athlete who fights. We have now these days, we have a lot of athletes who are fighting It doesn't necessarily make him a fighter, and it doesn't necessarily give him that fighter mentality, you know, to grind through adversary. You know what I meant.
Adversity.
You wouldn't want to
yeah,
go in a
adversity.
dark alley with that guy. He'll quit on you.
Yeah, you know,
I'd rather go fight in a dark alley with Peter Yan than Aljamain Sterling, because that dude's gonna quit on you. You know. Hey, real quick question for you, Rafael. You wrestled at Lassen?
I did.
I trained a guy named Nick Cotta, who wrestled over there with Rumble Johnson.
Oh, I must have missed that guy. I missed Rampage. He was on his way out. He was training down in Omiya, I guess, at the time.
Okay.
He was at a license. I might have just missed that guy.
Okay.
Corey was on the team with you then, though. The guy that fought in the Ultimate Fighter.
Corey left. Corey, I got kicked out and was already going. I had missed all that. Corey, he had just left. He was there, and then something happened at Lassen, and then he ended up going down to, I believe, Neosho in Kansas.
Missouri, maybe.
Say again?
Neosho, Missouri.
No, was it Missouri? I think it was Kansas. I think it was Kansas, right? Is it Neosho in Kansas?
I don't know.
At least
I think there's
quite
Me and
sure.
Raphael used to train with the guy. I think he may have been 4th or 5th in Japan Greco, and Raphael was probably the only guy I saw hold his own against him
Wow.
over time.
Shit.
Miyabe.
Ugh, okay. You know that guy was a wrestler, bro. When I saw him doing that, I was ashamed to say I was a wrestler after that fight. I was like, "Are you serious?" Because most wrestlers are trained to like go through that because we don't have that luxury like in boxing where you get groomed to fight a guy. You can come to a tournament and have the #1 seed guy in the first round. So wrestlers by nature and by design we're fucking tough. Like to have him go out there and be one of those guys acting and rolling around and also making the faces and shit like that. I'm sorry, man. It's pathetic, And to be honest with you, it kind of ruined the rest of the card for me. I was just like, I can't believe this shit. Are you serious? Like, we're watching this fight now? Like, left a bad taste in my mouth. Just my opinion. I don't want to bash him too hard, but
Bad fights. We can kind of transition to Nunez and Megan Anderson off of a bad fight, because that was kind of one-sided.
Did you see my post when the minute she walked after, I was like, oh, look, it's a lamb going to the slaughter. You could tell in her eyes. I was like, this ain't going to last very long.
No. Did any of us think that Megan was supposed to be there?
I didn't think so.
No.
What, isn't she on like a 1-fight win streak? She knocked out one person? Maybe.
Yeah, I
two?
mean, UFC has a difficult. What are they gonna do with Nunez? I mean,
Fight men.
Have her fight men. That's what Jason should do.
How do you know?
but I mean, what do they do
how
with
do you
this
know that
division?
really
They got a lady at the top
Armando?
that no one can fight.
And
Hey, Shane,
what's up?
how do you know that her name isn't Armando, not Amanda?
Man, I don't know, man. You got a third fight with Valentina, but she beat her twice already. But
The first one was questionable.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm a big Valentina fan, as opposed to Nunez. I think Nunez is I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of her. She does her thing. She goes out there. But I don't know. Megan was way outclassed from the start. She was scared to death. I don't even know what that takedown she tried to do was. She looked like a giraffe that got knocked over by a lioness, to be perfectly honest. And she got trounced. I mean, what did they do with Megan to bring her back after something like that? That was.
I mean, even the entire division, it's like, what can you do? You don't have anyone there that can fight her, probably. So, but she's at the top. So, what do you do? I mean, I know they're gonna have someone fight her, but it's like, it's a difficult spot for the division
what
to
do you-
be
I
in.
mean,
What do you
who is
think? I
even
got a
top
question
5?
on that. what do y'all think of this Kayla Harrison chick? She's a gold medalist.
Yeah, but she's
right?
not in the UFC, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's not going to address the problem that we're talking about.
They might have to bring her. Can she get to that weight?
I think that they're gonna have to, like that division's cleaned out. Obviously, whoever they're paying for recruiting, you better get recruiting. You better get down in the trenches down in fucking Brazil, somewhere in fucking South America. Go find somebody. There's somebody out there. They just gotta go. They gotta go digging. You pay these matchmakers and these recruiters. Pay them, make them do their fucking job. Go fucking find somebody. Go find me a fucking monster and bring her in. They can do it.
The depth in women's fighting just isn't there. It's
Yeah.
a problem.
Maybe they should just flood it. I don't know. Because from what I saw, I was like, man, she's fighting this. This is a championship fight. Like, they should just. They gotta find someone. There's a female out there somewhere. They might just flood that weight class somehow. Who knows?
I mean, they could probably sign Harrison, but she's only 8-0. And she definitely doesn't have the stand-up to fight Nunes.
Lincoln, can you hear us?
Yep, hear you loud and clear.
Lincoln, why don't you give us your thoughts on Nunes and Anderson? Lincoln, first off, introduce yourself so people that are hearing this and kind of what you did as far as fighting went.
Well, I used to fight in Super Brawl back in the day in the late 90s. Yeah, here in Hawaii. And then I got my face shattered, so I had to retire from fighting. I've been out of it for a long time. But yeah, I used to train with Helson Gracie for about 8 years. I got my brown belt, and then I fought, and when I broke my face, I just pretty much stopped after that.
You were basically a purple belt like in 96, 97.
Yeah, around then, yeah.
And one of those guys.
Yeah, so he was around. And, we're kind of – well, I'll let you do – why don't you do a little bit of Sterling and Jan? We just finished this, but why don't you give us your thoughts on it since you're there just right quick.
So, well, I definitely we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I felt like even though it was an intentional knee, he didn't intentionally foul him. Because the guy, he waited, he looked at his corner. When am I going to hit this guy? What am I supposed to do? And the guy, he waited till both hands came up, and as soon as they came up, he nailed him with the knee. So I just don't think he saw the knee on the ground. I don't think he tried to. Why did you get out of the fight that you're winning, that you're dominating?
I thought the antics just kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and maybe he just.
It could have. Yeah, he could have been frustrated. But I just felt like he was winning the whole fight. So I wouldn't see any reason to try to foul to get out of the fight that you're winning. But he could have been frustrated.
And what'd you think of Nunes and Anderson? We're kind of on this topic now.
That's a hard one because there's no one there for Amanda. Who's she gonna fight? She's just the top of the game for the female fighters. There's not many.
I remember you had a theory about like the male figure in a lesbian relationship. Remember you used to talk about this? Why don't you talk about that a little bit? This might rub people the wrong way, but Lincoln used to have a theory on this. So.
Gosh, you have to remind me. It's been a while, man. I don't know. She definitely is, a lot more masculine than most women. So maybe she naturally has a slightly higher testosterone, but she definitely has the skills. What's that?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you think, since you just said that, by chance her real name is Armando?
No. What his theory is that in a lot of female relationships, there's a female figure and there's a male figure, and you can kind of see it in the way they dress a lot of times. Yeah. And remember, you had told me about this before. I remember you've talked about this at length. So, and I think we were talking about Nunes in this situation because she's almost in some ways like a guy, Yeah, she did. She definitely leans more towards that end of the spectrum naturally. Like she's not like a steroid, not like Chris Cyborg or one of those other fighters that takes lots of steroids and becomes more masculine. She naturally is just more on the male side of the female spectrum. Yeah. So she has a huge advantage because her bones, she's stronger. She's got heavier hands. She's just more well built than the average woman. She's more durable, more aggressive because of probably higher testosterone than the average female. Yeah. Yeah, I remember us talking about that. I forgot what year it was, but yeah. Let's get on the main event because there's more to talk about there than. So what do you guys think of Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz?
You remember when Mark Coleman said to Shogun, "Little boys, stay in your weight class"? That's what that reminds me of. I mean, I wasn't sure of how well Jan could, or I'm sorry, Blachowicz, is that his name? Oh, I wasn't aware of his wrestling skill, but once he got on top of him, it was just the size mattered. You know, I mean, it's always mattered. Look at Mark Kerr and Fabio Zerzel. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm
And-
surprised he didn't go to it sooner than he did.
Yeah, like I thought he should have in the first round. And you know, like they say, you should. I'm not taking nothing away from Adesanya, but you know, doing kickboxing as a heavyweight is not the same thing as fighting MMA as a heavyweight or light heavyweight. I mean, that fight showed it. Israel's going to reign, you know, for probably a long time in the middleweight division, unless somebody can figure him out. Like, you know, with some good wrestling, good positioning. He's long, he's dangerous, he's lanky, but you know, I believe what Blachowicz did is a blueprint on how someone should attack him instead of being afraid and trying to fight him from the outside. Like, let me just give an instance. Yoel Romero.
Oh God.
Yoel, he's a better wrestler than Blachowicz, right?
Yeah.
Although he doesn't wrestle a lot in MMA, I think if he would have followed that similar game plan, he would have beat him all day long. I mean, Yoel's a big dude, but man, you know, every fight is, you know, they say styles make matchups, but we know one thing's for sure. John Jones would have whipped his ass.
Yep.
Bad.
Okay,
I hate
so
to say it.
who wants to go next here? Shane?
To be honest, the fight played out almost identical to how I predicted it, other than the fact that I thought Izzy would be able to outpoint him. I thought he was going to go attack Jan with a lot more calf kicks to, you know, even up the score and make it hard on Jan. And he didn't. He didn't do that much as I thought he should have. I did not factor in how dominant Jan's grappling would be in those positions. You know, Izzy has an Atos purple belt. He just got it not too long ago from Andre Galvo. But
Is that the guy that got slapped?
that's exactly who that is. But I didn't think Izzy showed any kind of solid grappling defense from his half guard to try to get back to his feet. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think that somebody can't get him down and out position him on the ground at this point. He's been able to stop everybody else's takedowns. Maybe the size played that much of a factor of how Jan was able to take him out, but it definitely wasn't a 10-8 grappling domination. It was just the striking there wasn't enough accumulation of strikes, in my opinion, to make those 10-8 rounds. They're just trying to make that a norm these days. You always hear the announcers say it all the time. Oh, this is a 10-8 grappling exchange or whatever. They're trying to promote that larger disparity, I guess, more often. But I didn't feel it was that. But Izzy's grappling wasn't there. So there's definitely some people that can give him fits on the ground. But my brother called the upset on this. He's like, Jan's going to beat him. It's going to be upset. So I have to give him props on that. But the fight did play out how I said a lot. And I actually had Izzy winning the first 3 rounds. He was outpointing him. But I was I had a couple of drinks in me, so
I think after the first, it was over. Steve.
Really?
I think Izzy won the first round, but after that, your drinks kicked in.
I don't know.
So, Raphael, what did you take away from it?
I'm gonna be honest. Like, so I always knew that if somebody could take him down, he'd be finished after watching a couple of his fights. I was like, yeah, there's gonna be a guy, you know, maybe a Dagestani shows up middleweight and just, you know, knocks his guy out, takes him down, you know, gives him business. But to be honest with you, I never seemed to the champ fight before, because I haven't been following lately. The champ just looked, like he looked one-dimensional. Just he was not a whole lot of head movement, just kind of going back and in and out. I think Izzy, the size, the guy was a little thicker, but it wasn't that much bigger than him. He needed more angles, and yeah, definitely. I knew his wrestling defense was suspect. I knew he was lacking in that area, pro belt or not. And this guy exposed him. I wasn't really impressed with the fight as far as action, but this guy did what was supposed to be, did the blueprint, right? Took him down, showed his dominance, pounded him out. Definitely wasn't a 10-8 round. I agree, but now everyone has seen what it takes, right? Which I've known all along. Somebody's gonna show up and do it. I thought Yoel was gonna be the guy to do it. To be honest, I thought Yoel was gonna do it.
Kazmit could do it if he gets healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Hamzat Chimaev.
Yeah.
Wars, yeah, that guy, that's a tough dude.
So Lincoln, what did you take away from it?
Well, I was actually surprised at how, everyone talks about Israel's skill set and how he's very defensive and agile and stuff. And I'm surprised how his head movement was not as effective as it usually is. He's used to fighting shorter, stocky dudes. That when someone has a similar reach as him, he was getting touched up. So he always talks about being the skinny guy, but he's actually the tall guy who has all the reach advantages at a middleweight. And he didn't have that here at light heavyweight. I did think about that the rounds of 10-8 rounds. That's kind of like the old school rounds. They used to give you 10-8s for takedowns. It kind of went back to that, but that's not how modern MMA usually is. So I was kind of surprised for him to get 10-8s for takedowns and holding him down. I mean, he did dominate the rounds, but there was no strikes. I mean, to me, you can't dominate with just holding someone down. You're just holding them down. It's like a survival tactic. I mean, he was winning with it, but it's not taking the guy out or anything.
So let me ask this, though, from the opposite end of the spectrum. If somebody's taking you down and holding you there, it's like controlling a little kid down there.
Yeah, he dominated him for sure. Yeah.
Lincoln has a
double-edged thing there, like, okay, stop me. And he couldn't even do anything with his Atos purple belt.
Yeah, he stopped every move he tried to make. He was not able to move his hips or anything. He kept it really centered and squared the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln, as an old school guard guy, kind of talk about that, what you saw with Adesanya's kind of defensive guard. I mean,
he didn't have much. There was no movement. He just he was just designed to stay where he's at. He was in survival mode. He never really tried to. I think he was getting tired carrying that weight. I mean, when he did try, he was like stuck. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to gas up. I keep trying hard, so I'm just going to hold on and not really give too much effort to really try anything. Because when he did, he was like, he's getting tired quickly from it. You could see him breathing heavy too on the ground. Although Jan was tired after that from holding him down, but Israel was getting tired trying to buck up and create space. He wasn't getting anywhere.
But that was like the strength of your game. You, Barrett, a few other guys were kind of like really noted for that. And, with a bigger guy, what would you have tried to do in a situation like that, just from a technique standpoint?
Half butterfly.
I mean, there's so many ways to get back to guard. I don't know. I just don't think he has those movements in his game, in his toolkit. That's what I think. He's just lacking a guard game. He probably just does defensive guard, kind of like Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva was much better. Like someone mentioned, that he's no spider on the ground. Silva had jiu-jitsu. I didn't see that with Israel. He really didn't have much in terms of a guard. But, I mean, he didn't really move his hips much. He didn't really try. I think he was just exerting too much energy. Remember he said my legs were really tired? I think he was getting when Jan would check the kicks, it was exhausting Izzy's legs from just the impact of getting checked repeatedly by Jan. So when he got to the ground, his legs didn't have the energy to go either.
He should definitely get back that purple belt, man.
Well, I mean, it's a big guy,
Guys think,
I
you guys think, though, that he moved up a weight class too fast. That could be another thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If he does it again,
what do you guys think about that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think if he does it again, he's going to have to put on that weight. You got to do it the right way. You can't go up, I'm going to be the same weight. I understand keeping the same balance and speed, but you got to match these guys for their strength as well, or else your speed and energy won't be there. You'll get gassed out from carrying the weight.
Yeah, John Jones seems to be doing that. He seems to be taking his time, building up his power. But I mean, you do what you got to do. What I'm saying is he seems to be taking it seriously, you know. As to where Adesanya just kind of jumped at the opportunity rather than really thinking it through.
Maybe he just wanted that big payday. Who knows? I mean, he hung in there. You know, he survived or whatever. It wasn't a blowout by any means. He got beat. I mean, Gion's been knocking people out left and right, and he couldn't even knock Izzy out. He had to beat him on grappling. So, you know, I think fighters should more often stay in their weight classes and you know, if there's a take on all comers, this whole mentality, oh, I can only fight a top 5, or I can fight whoever's on a streak, whoever's going to give you a challenge. I don't know why it always has to be a top fighter. You know, rankings are sometimes pretty irrelevant in the scope of it. I agree with what Dominic said. You got a whole top 15 there to work with. Just because a guy could be on a 6-fight win streak and still only be, you know, a number 11 or something. Well, why is he, you know, not even considered? Especially if you've already beat the other top 5 and 6. All those skill sets are close, you know. So I don't know. Izzy's a 185 pounder, and he needs to stay there till he's ready to move up for long term.
Let's talk about Makhachev a little bit, because I wanted to go over that fight. You know, Islam seems to be, you know, kind of the heir apparent that's going to be one of the top contenders here pretty soon. Rafael's a wrestler. What do you take away from watching Makhachev?
That was the guy who arm triangled that kid, right? That fight.
Yeah. He fought Drew
Yeah,
Dober.
Yeah, that guy's fucking beastly, bro. Those guys have it down packed. That Samba like we were discussing, you know, he's got old boy in his corner. Like, I'm waiting for the takeover here, man. With all these weight classes with these Dagestanis, Todd. I was really impressed. That was actually a good fight. That was a really good fight. Nice defense by the other guy, fighting off that arm bar and, you know, triangle. A lot of exchanges in position. But yeah, that choke him out with his shoulder and on the arm triangle was impressive. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about that guy. That guy's a killer, man. Just, like we discussed, Ty, those Dagestanis, that Sambo, that's probably the best thing out there right now for MMA, because that sport's it's fighting. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Shane?
Speaking of Sambo, so back in my purple belt days when I was in reasonably good shape at this time. Were you there, Todd, when those Sambo guys came through to Triton for the open mat? Were you there that day?
No.
Okay. I got to train with some legit Sambo dudes, and their base is something different. You know, I was pretty decent purple belt. I could always move people, and 2 of the 3, I almost probably was like Izzy, like, can't move. Like they had a ridiculous base. I have a pretty decent half guard, and they were able to just stuff it. So, like, you know, these Makhachev and you know, Khabib, their grappling is just, I felt that type of strength. So I know what these guys that haven't grappled with somebody that like that before, they're just like, what the hell? Nothing you normally do that'll get you through 90% of your partners works on them. It's like just trying to move bricks that are just there. I was actually more impressed by the dude who took out Benavidez, though. That Oscar Askarov.
Oh yeah, Askarov. Yeah.
That dude, he's got it all. So I mean, maybe Makhachev doesn't need it all. They say he has it all. But you know, they say that about Khabib too. He just is so intent on his grappling. He just throws punches. I haven't saw great striking from Khabib or Makhachev, to be honest.
Yeah, Askarov is deaf. He's a Paralympic champion.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
deaf
That
Olympic-
dude, I like that guy. He's got it all, and he blends it all really well.
He's badass. You're right, Shane. You are spot on about him, but there's one thing I got to say about Benavidez. I think he's over the hill. He's had one too
Yeah, he
many
probably
tough-
is, but to dominate him like that in his game, because Benavidez is a wrestler, scrambler,
Right.
and Askarov went.
Yeah.
That's what always impresses me about these Dagestanis, Russians. They go
Mhm.
right at people that are good wrestlers. They don't care. And you know, like when Sarukian fought Makachev. Remember Sarukian? He's another guy who's only lost one fight in the UFC. He went right at Makachev in the wrestling.
Yeah.
Now
And that was a
Makachev
great
out wrestled
fight.
him, but he went right at him, and they don't care how good a wrestler you are. They're gonna go right at you, and that's what really impresses me about them. American fighters don't do that. They know another guy's a good wrestler, they're not even gonna try a lot of times.
On the standing weighing after once they find out they're a wrestler. Now, even though Benavidez is kind of over the hill, he did fight really. You know, he put his whole heart into that fight. So he did fight really hard, even though he's over the hill. He gave his best effort. He just got smoked. You know.
Yeah, I mean, when Askarov was just taking him down, I was like, you know, not many guys take Benavidez down.
That was my point
Yeah.
exactly. Like he was effectively taking him down and holding him down and beating him on all, I mean, every position. Like
Hey guys, y'all know where Benavidez was born? He was
In the
born in
East.
Texas.
Oh,
Texas has shit for wrestlers, man. Come on.
Wait, come on.
I mean,
Texas,
I know that. And the Dagestanis, of course they got great wrestlers. You know, I've been in the wrestling room with Kevin Randleman, Mark Coleman. Those are good wrestlers. Benavidez is a Texas boy. I live here in Texas now, but Benavidez is washed up, and Benavidez is not a high-level guy like that Dagestani. Not even close.
I think
That's like
Raphael
putting-
disagreed with you. What were you gonna say,
Oh,
Raphael?
that's like, hold on, that's like putting a pit bull with a chihuahua, man. Come on, guys. Come on.
What were you gonna say,
Dagestani-
Raphael?
Hey, Shane, that Dagestani was a bad dude. Come on now. You know he was.
What were you gonna say, Raphael?
Texas has a couple wrestlers, you know, in particular,
Couple.
Brandon Slay. You know who Brandon Slay is? It's a fucking
Yeah,
monster.
but Benavidez ain't that level.
But yeah,
Raphael, where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. Florida's got good wrestlers. They do.
well,
You.
What was the-
Benavidez is an
what was that?
excellent scrambler, period. He always
That
has.
he is. That, yes, I'll give you,
Yeah.
but an excellent wrestler.
He's a
Nah.
great scrambler, and he generally would almost always win the scrambles. Maybe it is he's about time to hang him up. It is getting close for him. He's been in some wars, but it was a solid fight, and I just felt that Askarov's performance warranted some.
Yeah, it was
accolades.
very impressive because
Yeah.
no one has done that to Benavidez. I don't care if he's not what he was. I haven't seen anyone he fought that did that to him. And it's not like he fought
100%.
a bunch of scrubs. I mean, and Raphael, we talked about this a little bit more, but, why do you think these guys are able to control as well as they do?
Well, do you guys know what Sambo is, right?
All right.
Do you guys know what Sambo consists of? The
judo,
styles.
judo, wrestling.
It's judo.
Yeah.
The base of it is judo and wrestling. So, and then they have it in there. And then they throw some strikes in there. I mean, it's basically MMA. And that's why that's what they're dominating. For them to go, it's not that big of a transition. It's not transition for those guys.
Yeah,
Just
but I'm
basically-
saying our American wrestlers not putting an emphasis on control as much anymore because these guys are staying on top. They're getting.
So
yeah.
I was on a thread recently about I was discussing this, and it was like which style is the best off wrestling, and then I mentioned Greco for a couple of reasons why I think it is versus freestyle. So a lot like for example Greco, right? You're imposing will on somebody, right? Yeah, you can teach a guy to learn freestyle, but to go from freestyle to Greco, it's kind of hard. But that imposing the will on somebody, you just don't get that in freestyle. Freestyle, you can stay on the outside all day and pick away at a guy and win. I think most of these wrestlers these days they use it in reverse. Like, okay, most basic MMA guys, right? I think because from watching the sport evolve, right? You know, back in the day, if you're a wrestler, you'll crush everybody. Well, now everyone can stop a takedown. You don't have to be a great wrestler. They have guys who are non-wrestlers taking down wrestlers these days. You know, you learn base double, base sprawl. So
1 second.
being that kick-ass wrestler that nowadays, great wrestler, you could be a mediocre wrestler because now the sport's elevated, right? If you're in theory, right? If you're in the UFC, you're fighting pro. You're decent wrestling.
6 months, it would be $185 each month.
So if you can stop a takedown, you know, look at a good example. Izzy can stop takedowns. That's why no one's really exposed his shit yet because he has that takedown defense. Wrestlers, when they can't take someone down, it's like maybe somebody just give up. You know, they're like, okay, I can't take the guy down, so I'll go back to my mediocre boxing. And I think that's why wrestlers aren't really focusing on the wrestling as much anymore.
I think it's a lack of the intentional mentality of blending it. A lot, like you said, you have these great wrestlers that learned a little stand up, but then they're just a counter wrestler. They're not using it. They're not mixing in enough takedowns and stuff with their strikes, like Askarov did, you know, to really use their best attributes to win. And if they would do so, you know, I was only really good at jiu-jitsu, but I trained with a lot of great wrestlers. So I got pretty good control just from that. So I don't understand how a good wrestler can't get these takedowns and control like that guy on the undercard. Who was his name? Brady, whoever trained with Elder.
Yeah, Brady looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, like that kind of control. I'm not saying I'm that good. I'm just saying, but that I moved a lot like that. Todd, you've rolled with me. That's a good, solid way to control people. And these, I mean, that's good purple belt, brown belt technique, and a solid wrestler. So these people need to use it more to tire out their opponents.
You know what? I had to jump in too. I think also, you know, I didn't mean to cut one off.
Oh, that's fine.
As far as excitement, the fans too. You know, like I mean, let's be honest. If you have a super hardcore wrestler, like you know, like yeah, it's kind of boring. You know, take the guy down, lay there all day, and pound away. It gets boring, and eventually you'll get that pink slip from Dana, like, hey man, it's great having you, but you know, you don't have enough. You don't have enough. You need more than just wrestling. And you know, I think that also plays a big role as why a lot of these wrestlers aren't, you know, like the Yoel Romeros, you know, who aren't using their wrestling the way it could be because, hey man, your stock is gonna go down if you have it that way. The Dagestanis though, they blend it together well. That's what it is. American wrestler, you wrestle Greco-Roman, you wrestle freestyle, wrestle collegiate, and then you have to learn how to transition to, you have to learn to box a little bit, to Muay Thai. The Dagestanis, it's all one deal. So that's why it looks so exciting. They can take guy down, they can throw punches, I like seeing exchanges in these fights for, you know, as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned. You know, like I said, watching that one kid roll out of that arm bar, I like seeing that. You know, American wrestling, we can't do that. We're not trained for that.
I'm not going to listen to this blasphemy. You trying to say Sambo's better than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, damn it.
Well,
We all know it's the superior fighting art.
No,
But it is amazing how they can get on top, stay on top, and it
And
doesn't
throw the
seem like
punches.
the American wrestlers can do it anymore.
well, I think one good thing about Sambo is it's not piecemeal. Like in America, they learn wrestling, and later on you might add some boxing or kickboxing later on to your game, right? Sambo, they're learning all that stuff from the beginning. So it's not piecemeal. It's their complete game from the beginning. And because of that, they're able to stick to their game plan, and they're not deterred by, like, if you're striking or wrestling, they're going to do their game plan no matter what. They're not going to, like, if I go to shoot, and if I'm a Sambo guy, shoot, and you block it, they're going to keep shooting. Once they make contact, they're not letting go. They're not giving up. Like in America, like, I get it. I'm not that deep. I'll just give it up. I'll back up and start boxing again. So they really stick to their game plan, and they're very complete in their game plans.
Yeah, I think that's what's impressive about them is that they believe in their technique, and if a person's a good wrestler, they're going to find a way around their skill and get what they want to get. And
They're
that's
gonna
what makes
punch
them
them
very
away.
unique to other fighters is they're going to shoot, they're going to get the takedown. It doesn't matter how skilled a wrestler they're facing. They're going to do what they do. And that makes him really unique. I don't think American fighters do that.
Yeah, we're so as you know, we're so one dimensional. You know, I'm just speaking from a wrestling background. You know, like we're just too one dimensional. You know, it's just yeah, good point for sure. I'm glad everyone sees, you know, notices it. Like, yeah, man, it's
Well, plus we can't always forget. We can never forget where people grow up. You know, if you grew up in have an easy life, you're not going to have the same discipline. You're not going to have the same, you know, ability to take punishment if you're born in a place that's difficult. Like you talk about here in Hawaii, there's some towns that are really rough, like Waianae or Waipahu. Some places that have a lot of more wealthy kids. It's easier lifestyle. Their lifestyle is rough, and so they can, you know, they just have it in. They have the fire in them. They're not going to give up.
They're gritty.
They're gritty. Yeah, very much.
Well, I think that was some good stuff. You know, I think we wrapped it up good. Is there anything you guys want to leave on, or anything interesting you might want to
I
add?
want to say something.
Sure.
Todd, you should have never hit Raphael for me and saying this long. Pretty cool dude, man.
Oh, Raphael is. If you ever wrestled with him, it wouldn't.
Lincoln, you're a pretty cool dude also. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to meet you guys.
Raphael wouldn't be a fun guy to wrestle. I promise you that. You know, Raphael's
You
was.
know what? I've wrestled
Yeah.
refrigerators before, man.
Yeah, that would be the experience.
It is. I'm sure it would be. I mean, but you know what? Something like that would be an honor. That'd be fucking badass.
Yeah, I think it's just great having this panel. I think we should do this again. I think we should do it on Sunday so we have the time, and it's closer to the event, so we can do it right after the event. Even sometimes the same night, but definitely the next day for sure would be great.
Or we could just do something freestyle.
I'm down.
Just talk about whatever you want. We could do that right now after this one.
I have a job.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so if anybody want to leave on something, or just something they want to add, or something they caught from the card that maybe we didn't mention.
Yes, Jan, foot sweeps. I hate foot sweeps. I wish I was a foot sweep master. Inside trips. There was some vintage shit right there, man. I was totally digging it. Remember I used to wrestle Komatsu? He'd always foot sweep me. It's drive me nuts. I wish I had that skill. I could develop that, you know.
Well, Komatsu was a judo guy. Like, you know, he had blended wrestling and judo, so he had the skill. But when, you know, Raphael, what'd you think about him, like, getting back tripped to the ground, you know, where he was stepping across with his inside leg and tripping him? You don't really see guys getting tripped like that. Was kind of embarrassing, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It depends if it's in your game. I mean, I've seen guys get hit like that. It's just, you know, like, for example, what was the one guy from Cuba? Judo guy. He never used judo anymore.
Oh, Hector Lombard.
Yeah, Hector.
Yeah.
I've seen Hector like a trainer like do that to guys. You know, it's just if you want to use it. That's why I was really. That's one thing about that fight with Jan was he was using those. He had a foot sweep. He had an inside trip. He had a. Yeah, I wish I would see more of that in MMA. You know, like those are game changers. I really like seeing that, man.
Yeah, Jan clowned him in the wrestling. I think people thought that Sterling was going to be the wrestler. He wasn't. He got totally clobbered.
They were all like, "Oh, yeah, he's a Division III All-American." I'm like, "Oh, D3 All-American."
Those trips were just taking his stamina, his spirit. He was getting crushed by those trips, man.
Sorry, guys. I'm in the middle of.
Did anyone mention anything about the biased commentary in the event? Because, man, watching that main event was just like, man, you want to put it on mute. Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier made it seem like John had no chance in that fight. Like he wasn't even in the fight.
It was ridiculous as he was a 1,300 favorite. I didn't even think he should have been the favorite. So that was crazy. But I guess people putting a lot of money on him drives up the odds.
Yeah.
So
I just wish they didn't have biased commentary. You got to be more, you know, you just watch it as it comes. And like, don't have come in there with like, this is my guy. You can just enjoy
Right.
the fight. And
Yeah. You know, Joe wasn't always like that, man. I don't know what's going on lately, man. He used to be pretty in the middle, and he calls, he sees it. But yeah, you're right. I didn't notice he was kind of favoring, you know. And then, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Joe lately, man. He's kind of.
Maybe
I think it's the ESPN influence. They might be telling them, "Hey, we want you to push this guy or that guy."
I
you
mean,
got to market him.
Yeah, he had the
Yeah.
push, and he does have charisma. I mean, Adesanya has a lot more charisma than Jan for sure. So you can sell more tickets. Yes, you know.
Wolf tickets.
Whoa.
Right. So that's a good thing to end on. You know, I appreciate you guys taking the time. It's a good panel.
Right,
We'll
gentlemen.
do some more
thank you so
stuff
much.
in the future.
Do it
Thanks
again,
for
Jeff.
having me.
I want to
Take
get
care, guys.
Texas eventually, man. in Houston. I have a buddy in Houston. I'll come on down.
Yeah, sounds good, man. You can teach it at Adam's gym, maybe.
I'm down.
Look, Raphael, this is my front of my gym. And then back here, I got another gym.
Alvin, Texas.
And that's south of Houston, right?
Right south, maybe about 20 minutes.
I'm gonna get with Todd and get some directions. Yeah, I have a buddy who's near Houston. Let's look. I'm down to go visit. You guys are opening up right now. I'm down to go down.
Yeah, we're open.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well,
All right.
guys, I got a class to teach. So, guys, it was a pleasure to see you guys again and meeting you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You guys have
Appreciate
a
it.
great week.
You
Later,
too.
Yeah,
gents.
man.
Stick
Thank
out
you,
there.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Todd.
Aloha.
Hold on.
Thanks, everybody.